Antigua for the first time. It's the 10th anniversary edition. We've got the largest fleet so far. We're expecting 87 boats on the start line.
It's a fantastic race. You know, it's actually in the bigger boats, it's a sprint. You're always in transition. Great breeze, beautiful islands, and you get to come to Antigua.
You know, everyone has a chance, and we're all racing against each other, and I think the IRC rule has really done a great job.
It's very good for me to come here before the road de Rome, and I look the condition and I prepare the road de Rome.
We love the wind, we love the sea, the boat is made for it, and I think that is an advantage.
What is going to be the challenge for the teams? There is an upper level trough that provides unstable air, and that is going to be the driving mechanism for squalls.
The start of these races is always a very interesting, exciting, nervous, really tense time.
It will be tricky when you go around St. Kitts, Nevis, obviously Guadeloupe. There is many local effects from the islands themselves.
I think our biggest competition this year will come from some of the foil-assisted boat, the most obvious one being Rambler.
And then we have tried to compensate for the lack of stability or beam against Rambler and the other boats by working on this DSS foil.
CQS is more the narrow hull. Upwind for sure, they may be faster or more performing.
I still think Rambler will be extremely hard to beat on this kind of a race because there's a lot of reaching in the 80 to 100 degree wind angle with lots of breeze.
During the 3 days we're not going to be sleeping or anything. Everybody will be on board and we will be on each and every leg as fast as we can, and I think the others are going to do the same.
When a puff comes for class 40, it goes even higher out of the water and it goes even faster.
It's a speed race. Strong winds will favor the bigger boats. Records are going to be beaten for sure.
We'll be pushing hard. Be fun to break a record.
We've got a pretty diverse fleet. We've got pros on obviously the big boats. We've got professionals on some of the 50-foot boats this year. We've got quite a Corinthian fleet as well. It's a big challenge there. They'll all be looking forward to the race, but they'll also be just thinking about what their tactics are on the line, how they get off the line.
Yeah, the race started on a positive note when we caught Rambler on our way to Barbuda. So I think clearly in these winds we were significantly faster on a reach.
This boat gets us, but because this race had three tight reaches because the wind was far enough north that all of a sudden we started to realise this is possible.
From Tentemara down to Guadeloupe was at night, and very fast, very intense, very wet.
I was trying to shield myself from the spray every possible way because it was coming from everywhere and I just couldn't see anymore, and in the end I was just shutting my eyes for as long as I could and just trying to focus enough on the instruments just to go, yeah, it's about right.
I think on the whole the conditions were just perfect for pairings.
And you might say, why did we beat the records? Now, I think it might come down to evolution and design. It took 1.5 tons of displacement out of the boat, so it's lighter and livelier, and it just gets going. It gets up and goes very quickly. Everybody notices that when you drive the boat, that if it sort of falls out of the groove, you just turn it down and away it goes. You always just wait for that sudden bang, the signals trouble because we've all had those bangs and they can be of greater and lesser severity. So you worry about that. This time we did not leave much on the track.
We came around the eastern side of the island with the Proteus right next to us the whole time, and knew that if we couldn't beat them on the reaches that we were going to have trouble with them on the whole course. When we get on the reach, we had to put up everything that we knew was the right sail, the water in, the trim tab on, and go as hard as we could. The two runs from the Barbuda mark were our two big moments, and on the backside of all the islands leading up to go around St. Bart's and St. Martin, we had the Fro on doing 30 knots, and that was when we really left Proteus behind.
I think we've kind of found some places to push and found some spots to kind of ease off again, and luckily we brought some heavy-duty offshore artillery. It's a bit scary going, you know, a 90-degree true wind angle for 8 hours in the dark, but I guess you have a little bit more of an appetite for it after a little while.
Surfed down a wave as the jib was half up, and it got caught in the water, ripped the foil half off. The two bowmen got swept all the way back to the shroud and almost went over.
From that point onwards, we only had one jib. You know, we had the heavy weather jib, and we put some soft tanks on, and you know, we were pretty confident it would hold, and thankfully it did. It's a war of attrition. You know, you saw a lot of good boats drop out of this race with a lot of good sailors, and it's always disappointing when that happens. So to be able to persevere and you know, notch a good result is certainly a small win.
The condition was not easy, but we have some nice and fast reaching in rough sea, and it was really stressing but fun. So the worst thing is we break our solent. That's it. But the boat is still there and on the right side. That's it.
I think it went really well. I think the boat does light up, and it really lights up with a bit of a reaching sail. It's a tough boat to race hard, and that was a tough race. The problem is electronics and seawater don't go that well together, and that's my job really on board, and trying to sort things out, and it's a struggle. And on one occasion we had complete shutdown, or no, on one occasion maybe I reset my computer 80 times, maybe I reset my wireless system 35 times, I don't know. But it's a battle.
Had good drivers, so in fact it was fast all the time. I was far away to believe that we were having a record because I don't know the other races. So this was another additional satisfaction at the end.
It's definitely one of the toughest races we've done on the boat. You know, it's proper open ocean, there's no protection. And to have the curveballs thrown in, like massive holes under Guadalupe and rounding, you know, even places like St. Bart's, it was just proper lumpy there with the reverberating sea. So yeah, no, it was interesting, it was good.
Man down, fell on the helm last night, was mental, 40 knots, got thrown right across the boat, been on the phone to the medic. They say he's going to live, but probably should go in, and so yes, we are retiring.
Within a few hours of the race, the electronics all went down, so we were basically sailing blind. Had a bit of a frank discussion about it. You know, we're about to launch into a big air upwind beat, and with no electronics, you know, the biggest concern was safety. If we were to have a situation like an MOB or something like that, we'd have no way of knowing where we were or getting back to a person. Disappointing, but hopefully we'll be back.
Did a jibe set on the Barbuda mark, and the wind slowly started to build. Call for a takedown. Dug the nose, and at the same moment a 35-knot squall came through in a slightly different, it just knocked us flat. We needed to just pack it in and bring her home. She was not in a good state.
We didn't make it all that far, about just after the Bermuda mark, so about 60 or 70 miles in. And I think jumping off a wave, we came down a little bit sidewards, and the force was enough to snap the canard. Usually the boat's bulletproof. I mean, we came through, I think, out of 105 starters in the middle sea race. We were one of only 35 finishers.
It was really, really fun to do, and you know, learned a lot very quickly. In the flatter stuff, other guys starting getting on the helm, try and get into some protection. We're just trying to find flat seas and stay away from squalls. That was basically our MO. And we then lost our wind input. It wouldn't be prudent, and it would be unseamanlike to try and continue in the dark in those conditions
on, on a foiling boat like this, where you're basically trying to sail blindfolded.
I had a really annoying noise on my computer, and I didn't know what it was, and it was an alarm I've not heard before.
On our screen I could see there was a handful or more of the AIS men overboard.
And then that's when we started to hear radio chatter of something happening up forward, and ultimately we discovered that Fujin had gone over.
Ripping along, it was very windy, and as we were going around west side of Saba, the wind, we got into the lee. We still had our staysail up and reef main, and we kind of coasted through that. We started getting big lifting puffs over 30 knots, and one of them just caught us off guard. We didn't react quickly enough, and the boat went over. 2-3 seconds, we were up, and it was clear we'd gone over, and it just paused momentarily. The shroud broke, and we turtled, and at that point, I thought, oh, this is going to hurt when I hit, but almost immediately, trash on top of me.
In the end, I eventually ended up working as a relay station with the French Coast Guard for about 45 minutes. Racing full on and search and rescue full on is exactly the same game, really.
But there were some catabatic puffs coming down.
And we got hit by two. One must have been like maybe 40 knot, but I suspect that may have been what happened to Fujin.
If my sandwich gets wet, I'm gonna cry.
Well, it's soaked down there, John. I'm so sweaty.
Next day, we got 5 miles to go, and Tibu's in front of us. Finish line is to our right. We'll be done in an hour.
It's a tough boat to race, hard, and that was a tough race.
Do your homework. It's a fantastic race, but you've got to come prepared.
And so it's a combination of the great wind, great scenery. It's a wonderful course.
You say Caribbean 600, it's like Hobart or Bermuda. Not, it's a new race, but it'll be around for a long time.